Well, good morning. I'm Chicken Johnny, and you're on the farm with Chicken Johnny. Sun came up about an hour or so ago, and we're going to take a walk through the garden, show you what things look like after we've had 3 or 4 days of heavy rain. So we'll start with the carrots. They weren't really affected by the rain because they were covered, but we've also had some warmer weather. So there's the carrots, and they're doing really well. Now we planted radishes in with the carrots, and we got to get some of the radishes out of there. This is the first time we planted in the big planter box here. I've always had problems with carrots, but they seem to be doing really well. So let's go take a walk into the greenhouse this morning. So the greenhouse has a lot of condensation on the outside, but take a look at those tomatoes. Tomatoes are looking pretty good. We got some broccoli coming up in there, some onions. Those are just experimental onions to see what it takes to grow them from seed. These are some sweet peppers. With the temperature being cold, they're not coming along. I think I'm going to have to do some heating in the greenhouse to make that work. There's some more tomatoes that are looking good. There's some strawberries that we got from Norman, and they're looking good. Kohlrabies and cabbage and broccolis and Chinese cabbage and cabbage, more tomatoes and Chinese cabbage, and that is a big deal. And there's some cabbage that has to be planted, and there's some cucumbers for pickling. We lost our cucumbers. I didn't think that the frost would hit them so bad, but yeah, we lost our cucumbers to the frost. So listen, do me a favor. We're about to head down to the field and take a look at what's growing out in the field. But if you're watching, go down and click subscribe, and go ahead and click on the like button if you like this kind of content. Do it even if you don't like it. But it'd help me out a lot if you subscribe, and then ring the bell so that you can follow. And while you're doing that,
With Chicken Johnny,
I'm going to drive us down
get a close look at one of these plants here. Right down in and get a nice close look at it. What is that? If you have any idea what that is, you write your thoughts down in the comments section, and we'll see how many of you know what these are. But I got a field of them, and we're going to continue weeding them out. But as long as you're here, why don't you come with me and we'll look at some potatoes. Now that's a pretty sweet potato. Put these sweet potatoes in, I think it's about a week ago now, and they're coming in pretty good. We're excited. We got 4 rows of sweet potatoes. Now, we didn't plant them on plastic, which we wanted to and we should have, but it's been so wet, we can't lay plastic unless the ground is almost perfect. So we planted them directly into the ground. We're going to see how they do. Hopefully we'll get enough heat on them that they'll develop. But sweet potatoes need a lot of heat to really develop tubers. Last year we got a lot of vines, and we did plant them in plastic, but we planted them in a place that doesn't get quite as much sun. These are going to get full sun all day long. And this is an area that usually gets a little drier, but we've had 3 days of solid rain, and some of it was really heavy. So let's go. Grass is so hard to get rid of. This just looks like one blade of grass, so no worries. But if we dig that out, Look at how deep that root is. And then if I hadn't torn it, that root was connected to that piece of grass, and it was connected to that piece of grass. There's the tuber that comes through. Oh, there's an earthworm. That's fertile soil. And so that's why it's so hard to get rid of grass. Look at how long that root is on there. This is why you've got to get on weeds right away. This just looks like a little bit of grass. But look at the root structure underneath that. There's just roots everywhere. And this is a piece of grass that was tilled under, and it just came back up, and it reclaimed all those roots. So that stuff will just keep growing.
2 rows of Yukon Golds, and then 2 rows of Kennebecs. Now these were certified seed potatoes that we bought down at Dutch Growers, and so far they haven't come up. Now I would have expected them to come up, except it's been really cold. So I think now with these next few days of heat, we're going to see this potato field really come into being. We also need it to dry out so we can get in and cultivate, because heat doesn't just bring the plants, it also brings the weeds. So I've seen ragweed, lamb's quarter, a lot of grass, and that's tough to get rid of. But cultivating and hilling these potatoes once they grow is going to take care of a lot of those weeds. But here's the interesting part about the potato garden. If you come down and look here, we have a potato. Now, these are from the seed potatoes that we saved from last year, and they're already coming up. We may have planted them a little bit shallower. The ground may have been a little warmer when we planted them, but we planted these a full 2 weeks after we planted the other potatoes. So there's 1 potato. Let's get that out of there. 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4, 5 potatoes, 6 potatoes, 7 potato more. La 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 la. This whole field is filled with potatoes. Now, they're going to come in a lot thicker than you see them now. We're just getting the very first bits of potato coming up. Not only will the potatoes fill out, but we'll continue to get more potato plants each day that goes by once that heat really starts to hit them. So as to what variety these are, it's too early to tell, because we just saved Norland Reds and Kennebecs from last year. When we dig these up, we're going to see what we get. So that's it for the potato field. Come with me to the strawberry field. Let's go. So this is our rhubarb, and this is actually one of the better ones. The frost got in here and did a number on them, but I haven't had any success with rhubarb. I've got about 5 rhubarb plants planted here. I know the weeds have been an issue, but I got these bugs on them, and I've got
They aren't developing. The frost certainly didn't help, but if you've got any tips on rhubarb, anything you think I ought to be doing, just put something down in the comments for me. I'd really like to get the rhubarb going, because when those strawberries are in bloom and we've got rhubarb, I think I can get Mama Goose to make me a nice strawberry rhubarb pie. Or maybe some strawberry rhubarb sauce to put on ice cream. Or maybe some strawberry rhubarb bread. I'm getting hungry. Let's go take a look in the vegetable garden. Planted this asparagus at the beginning of last year, so this is just the second year that it's come up. Now, we planted the asparagus using asparagus crowns. You'll notice here, you've got 3 asparagus that have come up since the frost, and then this one came up and died in the frost. So it just looks like a reed like that. We won't pick these this year. Look at that one. We won't pick these this year. There's 4 of them over here, because we want the nutrition to go back down into the crown. So the asparagus is collecting sunlight and bringing that down into the crown. And this was an asparagus. Look at how thick that one is, but the frost got it. Just a bunch of examples of that. Now, just because the frost got the plant doesn't mean that it got the root. The root will still be fine, but the asparagus plant itself is inedible. That one's a tall one. We don't clear out this residue from last year on the asparagus, because that'll help keep the weeds down a little bit. Now, in about a week or so, we'll probably come through and clean that all out, so we can get the few weeds that are there and then keep them cleaned out throughout the year. Asparagus is kind of a lazy man's garden plant once you get it established. So we're hoping in about 3-4 years we'll have tons of asparagus to bring to market. Let's go down to the vegetable field where we planted beets and carrots, and let's see how devastating the rain was on that crop. You can see where the water was heavy, the beets aren't coming up, but beyond it, the beets are coming up really well. Walk down here with me. Oop. Can't let ragweed grow. Walk down here with me and you'll see, look at how profuse the beets are. Now, one of the issues with beets is that the seed really isn't a seed. The seed is a cluster of seeds. And those seeds then, see how you've got many growing together in that cluster? That's probably one seed. Same thing with this over here, same thing with that over there. So when those grow, you might have a clump of beets, and sometimes they grow together and sometimes they don't. But we plant a lot of beets because we sell a lot of beets and we eat a lot of beets. And you should too. Beets are a superfood. This is a volunteer sunflower. This is the biggest of them. We got this one over here. We got a bunch over there. And what I mean by a volunteer is we didn't plant it. It just came up on its own. If you come and look over here, this is actually a carrot patch. And it's hard to tell the carrots at this point. They kind of look just like grass, but a lot of these little blades of grass that you're seeing, this one here, that's a beet. These are beets. This is a blade of grass. I'm not seeing any carrots for sure. This may be a carrot. This might be a carrot. You'll see 2 what appear to be blades of grass coming up. It'll just be 2. Eventually they'll get that classic carrot top on them. But it's hard to tell in the field until you see that carrot top. And it's just amazing to me how many beets we have. I've never planted beets here before. We didn't plant beets here this time. So I have a feeling I used some seeds that were coated to make them a little larger. And I think those are Cayuga beets. I think I accidentally poured the Cayuga beets into the carrots. So these are some of the things that happen when you're farming and trying to make it. You make mistakes, but it's okay because I can sell Cayuga beets and I can sell carrots. So hopefully we get carrots and Cayuga beets. If not, we got carrots up at the box. So if you step over this way with me, look at here. This is a whole line of kale plants, and each one of those plants is going to give us a pretty good size harvest of kale. So you've got a row here, and then there's another row there of kale. That's Swiss chard. And that's Swiss chard. That's Swiss chard. That's Swiss chard. So there's going to be quite a bit of Swiss chard. You've got one here, one here, one here, here. This is a nice little clumping of Swiss chard. And then got more here. Ragweed. So these are snap peas. They probably came up last night a little bit. We've got one right there. Then we've got one right here. And then there's one right here. And I see a few more down the line. But I would imagine by the end of today we'll have a pretty established row of snap peas. So there was nothing here yesterday, and these are Australian shallots that have come up just in the last 24 hours. So that's pretty exciting. So that's the end of the garden tour for mid-May. It's about the 19th, I think, of May. I hope you're enjoying a view at the garden and enjoying seeing my frustrations of things growing and not growing and weeds growing and my victories in the onion field and some of the other things that you've seen today. I didn't take you down to the okra because it's just not growing yet. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. That's the excitement of the garden. We've had a lot of moisture down there, so it may not grow. Take a look out back here and you'll see what appears to be a small lake or a pond. That's actually a cornfield. It might be a soybean field this year, but if they planted soybeans, even if they planted corn, it's not coming up. They might have to replant it. They've got about 20-25 days they could replant. I don't know. They were devastated last year and the year before that as well. So I feel sorry for my neighbors. And we haven't had that bad here. It's wet, but it hasn't been that bad. We're going to be looking for mold and mildew, but otherwise things are looking pretty good. Subscribe down below. You'll see the picture of my tractor in the corner. Hit that, and that'll help you to subscribe. Then ring the little bell. That'll keep you informed about any time we repost. Hit the thumbs up button if you liked it, and if you didn't like it, hit the thumbs up button. Leave a comment down below, especially if you know what was in that first field. I'm Chicken Johnny. Thanks for watching. And Mitzer Shem, we'll see you again. Eat your vegetables.